Welcome back to the channel. My name is Critic Silver, and we are all on this shithole of a planet together. So, what I want to talk about today is the Fox interview that came out yesterday with Mr. Wallace interviewing Donald Trump. This was amazing. Chris Wallace actually fact checked Trump in front of his face, which Donald Trump did not like whatsoever for obvious reasons. He does not like to be fact checked. But I really appreciate Mr. Wallace doing his best to interview him in a nonpartisan way. Obviously, there is some partisanship to Fox News and to the interview, but he did do himself a favor, especially in the future, and Fox News as a whole. He did them a great favor. Now, I don't usually watch Fox News. I like to get my sources from, nonpartisan news sources. However, this was really interesting. And I want to preface this by saying I'm an independent person. I'm an independent in general in politics. I'm not radical left. I'm not radical right. I'm completely in the center. I pick my politicians based on their current platform. I read about them and I pick off their platforms, and then I choose who I'm going to vote for. I do not stick to a party. That being said, there's no goddamn way Donald Trump should be reelected. Joe Biden has a lot of problems, but it's better than the alternative. So, what do we want to talk about with this interview? Well, one of the most important things I want to talk about is the question that everyone has been talking about, every YouTuber. And Donald Trump was actually asked this question in a debate with Hillary Clinton about 3.5 years ago. And it was, if you lose, will you transition peacefully the power to the next president? In layman's terms, are you going to leave the White House? Are you going to accept the results? And Donald Trump, once again in this interview, said, we'll have to see. There's a lot of fraud in elections and in mail-in ballots. So let's clear that up first. No, there isn't. Mail-in ballots almost have no fraud. The only fraud that has been really seen and prosecuted in the last decade has been by Republicans. But Democrats have at least not been caught or haven't done any fraud. And really, there is no fraud in mail-in ballots. And it's really easy to get caught. A lot of people get caught just for putting the wrong address down. I mean, they don't just take your word for it. They really look into these things. And the reason Republicans are scared of mail-in ballots, even though historically it's been better overall for, it's been better overall for Republicans, mail-in ballots in the past. However, this time around, because of coronavirus, the only people who are going to be first in line at the ballots are the no mask wearing 5G is giving us cancer people. And the QAnon people who are just addicted to Donald Trump. So mail-in ballots would help a lot of underprivileged communities, the African American communities, the Mexican communities, anyone really, and a lot of white communities. And yes, it will kick them out. And Republicans are worried because they have fallen so far from grace with the public that if they lose the White House, the Senate, and the House of Representatives, it's not going to be a 4-year turnaround for them. It's going to be a lot longer. They're going to have to distance themselves from Donald Trump. They're going to have to redo their entire platform, their Republican infrastructure, and get back to what it used to be, to what my family originally was Republicans. And it was because of the limited government and less taxes on businesses. And that's the household I grew up in. And that was old Republican values. Now, as a Jew, we never agreed with their social, program, their women's rights and all of that. I mean, we've always been very socially progressive as far as gay marriage and all that. But when you're dealing with a business family, they're going to vote for their business. However, when you have someone like my grandfather, who is 88 years old and refuses to vote for Donald Trump, even though it will hurt him and his wallet, it is telling. So let's get back to the main question. Will he leave office if he loses? Let me give you my opinion. I think this is well overblown. He absolutely will leave office, and I believe he will leave office before the date. One, he's such a sore loser, but that's not the reasoning here. The reasoning is because the man has thousands of lawsuits against him. And the second he is no longer president of the United States, he can be prosecuted for all of those lawsuits. And a lot of them are going to stick. And he won't be protected. And there is a high probability that he gets convicted and goes to prison. Personally, I think if Donald Trump loses, he is going to declare a holiday. He is going to get himself onto a private plane, go to a non-extradition country, and enjoy his retirement. That is what I personally believe, because I think, as much of an idiot as he acts and is, I believe he is smart enough to understand survival. That's how he's made it this far. He's bankrupted this many businesses, and now he's the president. The man knows how to survive. So that's what I see happening. If he were to sit in the White House and refuse to leave, he is still not the president and does not have those protections. The White House doesn't make you the president, the people do. The White House is just a building that has been rebuilt. When it burned down a long, long time ago, it's not like we lost our president until it was rebuilt. So the White House has nothing to do with the presidency. The military will not protect him. They work for the President of the United States, and they believe in the Constitution, a majority of them, most of them, and they are good people. And if he is not the president, they will not follow his orders. The DHS, that's a little worrisome with what's going on in Portland, but we'll see how that plays out. And honestly, the politicians, if he loses, are going to distance themselves as fast as possible and try to rebuild the infrastructure of the Republican Party. There's a lot of things in this interview that are disturbing, funny. I highly suggest you go watch it yourself. It is on YouTube. But that is the answer I have for one of the most talked about questions currently, which is the question asked by Donald Trump if he would accept the election results. Don't get me wrong, he's going to question them. He's going to bitch over it. But when it comes down to it, he will leave. And I believe he will not just leave the House, he will leave the country. Please let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. I'd love to hear from you, as long as, you're not being an asshole. I'd love to have a discussion if you have a different opinion than me. If you'd like to hear me talk about something else that's not politics or anything in general, just leave a comment down below, and I will do that. If you haven't, leave a like on this video if you liked it. Please subscribe to the channel for more content. And as always, have a good day. Peace.